I post them to YouTube. So welcome. This is the CHAOSS monthly meeting. It's May 5th. In our notes, I'll kind of work my way through this. I will do a little bit of screen sharing here for just a second. So a couple updates with respect to meetings. So tomorrow is our first Asia Pacific CHAOSS community call meeting. Super excited about that. It's at 8 a.m. US Central. You can figure out your time accordingly. The risk working group has moved to Tuesday.
Yep.
So you can correct me if I'm wrong. And it's also twice a month at 9 a.m. And there was a meeting today, I believe.
There was, but because I didn't change the invite for the core people,
okay,
and we didn't change it on the website, and
okay,
people don't read the newsletter fast enough. Yada yada. There was
okay.
nobody there but me and a couple other people who were not enough to do any real business. So we hung out for a short time and realized my error.
Okay, so next meeting in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Grimoire Lab, I was just told that Grimoire Lab did meet today, right before this meeting. Grimoire Lab is one of the pieces of software in the CHAOSS project. They're also going to meet twice a month, so the next meeting is the 19th. Okay, and just so everybody knows, all of our meetings, like the Asia Pacific CHAOSS call or the Risk call or Grimoire Lab call or DNI or Evolution, whatever it might be, they're all on the same channel. So the same link is what you'll use for all of those meetings. With respect to Zoom, just, obviously we're all on Zoom here. Right now, I think I have it set up that only the host and co-host can share screens. So that was just a small security change I made. I can make other people hosts and co-hosts during the meeting, so if you need to share a screen, that's not a big deal. Just chime up, but it's just one more step. So if you're missing your share screen button, that's why, because I took it away as something out of the gate.
Does Augur still meet on Thursdays? I don't see that one here.
We meet the same day that we usually always meet. I thought Kevin added that to the list.
It's on the website. It's not.
Okay.
I went to the notes and it didn't look like there was a meeting last week, or there weren't any notes from the meeting last week.
Yeah, nobody came, but we do have a meeting every week. I just have to, I can't remember what day it is. I have many meetings.
Just so you know. Don, I have Augur meeting on Thursdays at 11 a.m. US.
That is correct. That is.
Okay. I just didn't see it on we were just looking at the notes and I didn't see it on that list. And so I was curious.
It was the first meeting after the big release. So it was a pretty formal meeting.
Yeah, we should have that. It should be on the list anyway, as John notes.
Okay.
Matt, please, maybe you have to check the permissions on screen sharing, because we had that issue in the previous meeting. So I had to grant permission for people to share their screen so that we could hold the meeting. But I think you should just go back and reset it, please.
Okay, I'll check that after the meeting.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Okay, good, thank you. Any other questions on meetings? This was just kind of talking through that.
So I will try to make sure that the website and the shared calendar are up to date.
Okay.
But as a working group, if your time is incorrect, if you could create an issue on the website repository or even reach out to me, that would be great.
Okay, and I can help coordinate with you as well on that, Kevin. Okay, cool. The next item, I'm kind of moving down. I'm in the document here. I'm on the second page. So Outreachy and Google Summer of Code. So it's official. They've announced Outreachy and Google Summer of Code participants. So the CHAOSS project has 10 total. So we have 1 Outreachy student and 9 Google Summer of Code students. So there's a little bit of few final details that needed to be sorted out with respect to the programs, but actually those just got sorted out just before that meeting or this meeting. So I'll send out an announcement welcoming the students, and if you could all just say hello, that would be great, and all that kind of stuff. So not to go into too much detail here because we're still kind of in closed discussion with the selection team, but we're looking to finalize a finalist list for the community manager position. So for those of you that don't know, the CHAOSS project is hiring a part-time community manager for the next 3 years. So we were lucky to receive funding from the Alfred Sloan Foundation, which will support this position. So there's a group of us that are kind of filtering through. We have almost 200 applicants. Now, not all of them were
high quality or good fits. That's probably the better way to say it.
Yes. So, but nonetheless, it was a great group of people that applied. And so thanks again for everybody's effort. I'll just kind of leave it at that. All right, so
Matt,
yep.
Just a quick question. I should be able to make that meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
But is the purpose to like discuss the candidates, or is it to discuss like logistics on how the interview process is going to work?
Hopefully, we can do a little bit of both. So just
okay.
kind of reflect on the finalist list because I haven't reached out to anybody, and then also just kind of the next steps as to what to do next.
Cool. Okay, because it looked like at least 2 people aren't going to be able to make it on Thursday because of holidays.
Yep.
I was thinking maybe some of the discussions could even be done like over that email.
That's also possible.
If that works for everybody, but.
Yeah, you can also take notes in a Google Doc, and Georg and I can chime in as part of the discussion there as well, whatever's easiest for people.
Cool.
I was trying to keep the meeting relatively short, just 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you can make it, that would be great, Ray.
Yeah, I think I accepted. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so working group updates. So for those of you that are, so thank you. These are kind of just a few details that I want to take care of first. So for those of you that are kind of joining new, so we have several working groups, and the working groups are focused on the development of metrics, and some of the working groups are on the development of software. So in this meeting, for the monthly meeting, I'd like to go through any updates that the working groups have from the metrics perspective. So the first document here is the tracking spreadsheet. So this is a spreadsheet that obviously everybody has access to, and it's just a way to take a look at what metrics have been released, what metrics are in consideration, what metrics are under review. So it's just a really great way for us to track the development of metrics in the working groups. So that's just what that first bullet point is there. So then, common, I can turn it over to Dawn if you want to.
Yeah, sure. And the big thing we did in the meeting last week was that we finalized the time to close metrics. So we just need to get that sort of packaged up and get it ready for review as part of the continuous release process. So watch for that. I assume that's coming out relatively shortly.
So do we have any window for to review releases now? Is it open?
It will be, yeah. So once it gets posted, I think we just need to get it in Markdown in GitHub, and then we'll file an issue where people can leave feedback on the metric, and you'll have at least 30 days to do so. And once we put that issue up where people can provide feedback, that will be sent out to the CHAOSS mailing list to let everybody know that that's open for 30 days for feedback. So yeah, you'll have plenty of time to give us feedback, and we'll make, if it's like any of the others, we'll get feedback, we'll make some changes and iterate on it, and then it'll become part of the continuous release.
So actually, I did create the Markdown file after the meeting on Thursday, and I created the issue. And I
probably forgot to merge it.
No, I think either Matt or Georg merged it.
Oh, good. Perfect.
So technically, I think the review period started on May 1st for it. Let me.
Okay. I think we just did anything go out on the mailing list? I don't see
think
it.
So.
I don't think it went out on the mailing list yet. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to do that, Kevin, or did you want me to?
Oh, I can do it if you'd like. Just a second. I'll share the link to the issue.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
The,
I just know that people won't necessarily.
Close, right?
Yeah, time to close. I just know that people won't necessarily notice it if we just do it as an issue. If we post it to the mailing list, that makes sure everybody at least has a chance to comment.
Right on.
So.
Yeah, and I think we should also make a habit like
That's
reminding
all I have for
people
comment.
often when there is an open period, because sometimes a single mail on the mailing list with a high volume of other thread going on may silence the importance. So when an issue, like even in the past, I noticed that I missed some period just because the volume of other conversations were really catching much attention than a single mail that, yeah.
That's a good point. Thanks.
All right, cool. All right, so it looks like that's just needs to go out to the mail list for, it needs to be open for public comment, and that's all good then? Yep.
Cool.
Right on. Okay, cool. Anything else, Don, from comment?
Nope. There's a link to the notes, so if you want to see the full notes of everything we talked about, it's all there.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Oh, yay, Matt B is on. So as we move to value. So yay that everybody's on. So Matt, you don't get special privilege, but any comments on value?
Sure, a brief update. Not much has changed since last time. I couldn't make last week, but our meeting is this Thursday and there's a lot under review. Thankfully, there are 5 PRs in right now for different metrics around value. I haven't had a chance to give them a lot of attention. We've been doing a lot of work to get the CHAOSS Cast, the podcast for this project, off the ground, and that's eaten into my contribution time for other parts of the project. If other people, there's no set dates on closure of like either merge or not merge, but if you're interested in the definition of value as it relates to the financing of open source projects and communities, there's some interesting metrics to review right now and some conversations in the open issues as well. So please jump in.
Cool. Thank you, Matt. All right, very good. Diversity and inclusion. So I'll make the first comment. So right now, the link that is in the notes will take you to really what is sitting at as 3 metrics. So this was work that was being done. I'll bring up my screen share. This was work that was being done in the D&I work group meetings, and it was talking about documentation with respect to D&I, and really what came out of the discussion probably about a month ago was that there was a single metric associated with documentation that was pretty much overloaded, and that it would in fact be more sensible to turn the metric as it existed a month ago into probably 3 different metrics. And so the work that's been going on in the D&I working group has been aimed at defining what each of those 3 different metrics is. So for example, documentation usability, documentation discoverability, I guess these aren't really examples, these are what it is, and documentation accessibility. And so the time has been spent in the working group to work through the language associated with each one of these particular metrics. So I'm guessing tomorrow in tomorrow's D&I working group meeting, efforts will be spent on that as well. And Sala, do you want to speak to an update on the D&I badging?
Yeah, so actually, this is our first week back. So we took a few weeks, a little over 2 weeks off, I guess, last month, and we're just starting back, and with working on the objectives of the internships for the next couple or 3 months.
Okay.
So we don't have really much updates other than so I know Tola is the going to be working with us, I guess, over the summer. So yeah, I guess we'll have more updates maybe next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know your ASTA also got accepted.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I didn't know that. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so just so folks know, the outreachy student will be working on the D&I badging program, and then that's Tola. And then Asta, who was also accepted to Google Summer of Code, will also be working on the D&I badging program. And so for folks on the call, one of the things that we try to do is as we develop the metrics, we want to make sure that the metrics find a place in the world, that they don't just sit as a page on a website or as a markdown file or something like that. And so we try to, whether it's integrating the metrics into a piece of software or integrating the metrics into programs where software may not be the most appropriate place for a metric, we work to do that. And the D&I badging program is a way to think about metrics in diversity and inclusion and what are processes that we can do so that these metrics have meaning in the world. So in the case of D&I badging, we're looking at diversity and inclusion metrics associated with events. And so how could events go through a badging process, effectively demonstrating that they're being attentive to CHAOSS metrics around events in D&I. So that's what the badging program is. And so Sala and Matt Snell have been working on kind of building the workflow around that. And then 2 students this summer will also be helping with the technology and the workflow associated with the badging process.
Mark, what about the Google Summer of Doc? Is it the same under the same category as the Summer of Code?
So I think the Google, I didn't have this in here. The Google Summer of Docs, I think Venue is on. Yeah, Venue.
Yeah, Google Summer of Docs is a bit different than Google Summer of Code. GSOD is mainly based on only documentation, technical writing, whereas Google Summer of Code includes coding and writing and everything. But GSOD is just focused on technical writing.
And Venue, is that submission, is that in now?
May 4th was the deadline. I think the Linux Foundation guys have applied as an organization. So we are a project under the Linux Foundation.
Okay, thank you. Cool.
And if I may add for the badging program, I included the link to the actual GitHub organization, which we just got badging, which was pretty cool. I also just want to add that I'm very excited to have our interns this summer. And that's really all I have to add. I'm just happy about it.
That's a good ad.
Yeah, enthusiastic, right? So
agreed. All right, moving right along. Thank you for the updates with respect to badging in D&I. Evolution.
The only thing, I'm not leading the group, but working with it pretty closely. There's just been a lot of increased activity and continued development of metrics. So I think I would say things are going well for that group. It's a big classic area of health and sustainability, and we keep following the roads that people take us down and developing metrics.
Is there a metric that is currently under review?
I think there might be, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
I think there's one that's under review, and there's also one that is pending addition to the website. So waiting on a pull request to get merged that has the.
I go to so many working group meetings, I lose track of which ones have things under review. But that sounds right.
Yeah, at times it's really difficult to keep track of those metrics, because I remember last week, I tried to move around to see things that we could review. It was not very clear.
It looks like if I share my document.
Pull request, we have one metric candidate release.
Yep. Oops.
So the new contributors metric is pending a pull request, and then it'll go live on the website.
Which one?
New contributor.
New contributor.
That's
So,
right. The review period's over.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just, there's a disclaimer that has to go above, that has to be added to the markdown for the continuous release metrics. So as soon as the disclaimer pull request is merged, then it'll go to the website.
All right. That is merged. Real-time action.
Okay, so Sean, you're going to stay on for a second. Risk.
Oh yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Okay. Risk has had some pretty significant conversations about safety critical systems and also software security and sort of verifiability. If any of you have watched the new Amazon series Upload, you'll understand very quickly that software can be interfered with in really interesting ways. And there's so because of those concerns being brought into the risk working group, we're starting to extend our conversations to include OpenChain, CII, and SPDX working groups as well to address the metrics in that list that I provided there. I won't read them all to you because I don't like it when professors read bullet points on PowerPoint, so I won't do that to you. But if you have any questions, I'll take them.
Okay. Cool. So I think part of the goal in the risk working group is that there are a number of different open source projects that are in this space, CII being one, OpenChain being one, SPDX being one. So how can we kind of combine efforts, not duplicate efforts, build off of the skills of each other?
I think the role we play is that the OpenChain, CII, SPDX, they are defining specs and the actual detail of what to do in the software process. And what we can add are measures of whether or not those things are actually being done.
Cool. Thank you, Sean. So for those of you that are kind of joining for the first time, so what that was, those are all the working groups that are focused on the development of metrics that are specific, say, to risk. So what are the metrics that help us get a better understanding about risk, full stop? So that's what the risk working group is doing. What are the metrics that can help us gain a better understanding with respect to D&I? What are the metrics that can help us gain a better? So we have different working groups that kind of take on these different areas of interest with respect to open source project health as a whole. And so the working groups do the work to identify metrics in each one of those particular groups. There are times where, say, risk will come up with identify a metric that is important to gain better transparency around health or risk-related health issues. And that metric may actually be more applicable, say, in common or in evolution. So the metrics do move. Sometimes they slightly porous boundaries between the working groups, but that's what the working groups are doing here.
Yeah, and at some point we'll have so many metrics that the working groups will not be the organizing structure for the metrics themselves, perhaps, just in some distant future, right?
That is news to me.
Well, in the curation, in terms of curation, like at some point there are more metrics than, I think some of them will mature to the point of curation and the classification schemes may become more of a matrix than a hard classification. I'd say that.
That sounds like a talk for a future.
I have a dream. I have a dream. All right, just at least I've experienced. I've done stuff like this before, and it eventually will happen to us.
All right.
Maintenance costs.
So then, also within the CHAOSS project, so those are the working groups that are focusing on the development of metrics. Also within the CHAOSS working group, we have software that is helpful in the deployment of those metrics, right? And so that's where we're at right now. So I'm down at I should put page numbers on here, but we're at the bottom of page 3 around software updates. So the first one that maybe I'll turn it over to Daniel. Daniel, do you want to give us an update on the organization affiliation data?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of weeks ago, we were discussing about having a centralized place where we can have all of the domains and organizations information that Ogre and Grimoire Lab and perhaps other third parties are using here and there. So we thought about creating this specific repository. If you go there, what you will see is 3 files: README file that explains what this is, a big JSON file that contains all of these relations, organizations, and domains, and then the license file. So would be good if you have at any point any internal need of understanding what domains belong to certain organizations and so on, this should be the first place you need to have a look at. So we would like to foster this repository and see if this is useful, because this is useful for Ogre and this is useful for Grimoire Lab at least. So having this, we thought it's worth having this there. Yeah. So this was all about this. Sean, I don't know if you would like to add anything else from you.
Somebody just asked me probably if I have a wine glass. It's a beer glass and it's filled with water. So it's only 11 in the morning here.
Okay.
I said privately, so I didn't have to.
Yeah, no, it's like, but I
like that you outed yourself.
It's like, is he drinking at 11 a.m.?
At least your pinky's out.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel, do you have updates with Grimoire Lab?
Yeah.
I don't know if you were putting that in there as well.
I go there, so I was adding some updates because we had the Grimoire Lab meeting like the hour before. Well, first, what Matthew announced before, so just to be sure, we are moving this to bi-weekly meetings. So we are meeting again for Grimoire Lab in a couple of weeks, just because of the situation and lack of time and so on. It's like, okay, let's work in this other way. And everyone there at the meeting agreed. So if you have any concerns and so on, let us know.
Okay.
So Grimoire Lab, there in that specific link, you have the news, main things or summary. There are some data model improvements. You know that Grimoire Lab, you can run Grimoire Lab. The final product that you have are the dashboards, but in the meantime, what you have are data models and indexes that you can consume as well directly through Elasticsearch API. So for them, we have improved a bit the data model for Docker Hub, Asspot, and Mattermost. I think these improvements are specifically coming from Google Summer of Code. Valerio, who is not here, can confirm this. Then we have a new feature to anonymize information coming from different data sources. So when we are talking about anonymize, we mention names, our names, and all of this. So it's about having fully anonymized information from contributors, just in case. And then documentation improvements in Sorting Hat and Mordred, getting started and so on. And then the addition of Gitter as new data source, including indexes, data models, and final dashboards. So these are the main things we have in Grimoire Lab.
Cool. Questions for Daniel on Grimoire Lab? Sharing. Sean, Augur?
Lots and lots of updates on Augur. We had a major new release, which we highlighted in one of our weekly Augur meetings recently. And so we tweeted that out, and there's a Twitter link to the video. And also and that includes major updates to the documentation as well. So I've got updates to documentation getting started, substantially improved lots of the pieces of Augur for data collection. And shortly we've been working with a number of folks on building Jupyter notebooks that access the Augur schema, which has a lot more data in it than is revealed in the Augur front end at this time. So I think releasing a standardized version of those notebooks is on our agenda in the next month. And I think we are I think we're very close, like maybe tonight's meeting we'll actually decide to release our Slack client, which allows you to specify any running instance of Augur and indicate how many different anomalies you want to see every day, and what type of anomalies you want to see for which repositories that are in your instance of Augur. So we're pretty excited about that because we think push notification is one way that people can use the data that Augur generates more effectively to be aware of what's going on in their communities without having to click on 1,000 repositories.
Cool. That's been a long time in the making, and it's nice to see.
Yes, it has.
See the light of day. That's cool. All right, great. Any questions for Sean with Augur? So again, for those joining Grimoire Lab and Augur are two pieces of software that you just heard about and are part of the CHAOSS project and help in the deployment of the metrics, amongst other things. So, all right, so I had kind of a list of outreach related things. Remember, I'm trying to keep this meeting to end at about 1:45, just so we all have time to catch our breath before our next meeting. And so just with respect to CHAOSScon North America, I've been meeting with some folks at the Linux Foundation to get help with going to a virtual event, just because that's going to be inevitable and it's going to happen this summer. So they were super responsive. So Angela at the Linux Foundation was really, really helpful in this regard. And they're willing to help with things like timing. So I think one of the questions that we have is when CHAOSScon would occur. And one of the things they're doing for us is kind of giving us a summer calendar view of when time might be best suited for CHAOSScon North America, which I thought was super helpful, you know, that we're not overlapping with other events or large events.
How much virtual time can you spend?
They would also be willing to help with the technology used in the used for the event. Really just with giving us different options and what the limitations of, obviously, say something like Zoom might be, or Zoom with, they had a tool called Tico Chat or something along those lines.
Yeah, like a Zoom plugin that adds conversational dimensions that are a little bit more sophisticated than chat.
Than Zoom. So just kind of a variety of options that we may have to us. They would also provide day or days of support. So just kind of moderating or, you know, moving people from one spot to another virtually, which I thought was really great. Marketing, and they can handle registration, help with registration as well. This does come at a cost, right? So rightfully so. I mean, we're asking for services. So part of my thought was this is where we could ask with respect to CHAOSScon sponsorship, which we've done in the past, right? Instead of just lunches and rooms and things like that, that the dollars would go towards supporting support. So I don't know if people have thoughts on this, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm kind of waiting for a little bit more feedback and another meeting with events folks from the LF this week.
I mean, do you happen to remember, Matt, like what time frame they were suggesting over the summer, or are you still waiting for that?
I don't have that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And Matt, can you, has the, you know, I got lost in all the COVID rescheduling. This is happening. Is the deadline for submitting things to CHAOSScon passed?
Technically, yes, but I'm guessing that will.
Do we have submissions that are sufficient?
I don't know. I don't have a view into that.
We sort of paused the submissions while we took some time to think about what we want to do with the event. Okay. Because I think that part of what we need to think about is, you know, do we want, you know, 7 hours of content where we're just, I don't want 7 hours of content where I'm just sitting on Zoom watching it. It's not the same as going to a face-to-face event. So we left the CFP. It's still technically open, I think, because I haven't closed it. But I think we need to have a conversation with the LF about what makes sense to do. Like you said, there are a million virtual events, and I just don't know what we should do with CHAOSScon, but I'm concerned that we don't want to just keep promoting the CFP and having people take the time to submit talks if we're going to end up doing something much smaller or different than what we've done in the past.
Because I know that like the nature of what we would submit is going to be different if the format's different, right? Like I would love to submit a bunch of little 3-minute videos and then have people like watch about 3 or 4 3-minute videos over a period of days, and then maybe have an online Zoom chat for half an hour or something, or something like that, where nobody wants to sit and listen to anybody talk for 20 minutes on Zoom.
Or 6 hours on Zoom.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple cool formats so far. Like PyCon, it went completely asynchronous and then hosted synchronous Q&As, like video share Q&A conversation with the assumption, go watch it on your own time. If you're curious how it works in practice, let's hang out for an hour. And
Yeah.
they rolled it out over 4 weeks, which I thought was cool. Just one other one that stuck out to me. It's probably not for us, but a DevOps Days hosted a meetup in that game that everyone's playing. Oh, I just totally blanked.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Thank you. But you know, while maybe that's super funky and I enjoyed it, what I really appreciated, they streamed it to Twitch. And I was following conversations that they did a really wonderful job of curating back channels so that people said it felt very conversational, like you actually wanted to be there and hang out with people. So any lessons we can glean from them. I think like Matt Stratton's a friend of mine and he was co-organizing. I could always pick his brain. But the world's our oyster. It's a very weird world right now, but there are a lot of options.
Yeah, this is part of why I would like to engage a little more with the Linux Foundation and see if they have some creative suggestions for us for how to manage this that's not just taking presentations and moving them to Zoom.
I agree. I'm
I
meeting.
mean,
okay.
I mean, go ahead, Matt. I'll let you finish.
I was just going to say, I think I'm meeting with Emily from the Linux Foundation events team on Thursday, maybe. So.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's with the LF team or not, like, I think those of us that are sort of on the CFP committee for CHAOSS.Con, we could, I mean, after people are back from vacation, like maybe we can have a quick call next week. And I mean, I agree with Don. We can't have, like, even if we were to have a virtual session, I don't think it should be longer than like 2-3 hours, because otherwise it'll drive a lot of people crazy. And then I think even for the open source summit, they're giving an option of recording your session like ahead of time. So recording is available, and then I don't exactly know what the format is going to be, but I like the idea that Matt mentioned about like more of a social thing, like, because I mean, people can watch videos like anytime they want on YouTube, but it's more of a hallway conversation that we want to I guess keep, you know, in a virtual format. But yeah, I mean, I think we need to make a decision on what we're going to do, like we cancel it outright or do something different. But
yeah, the other thing I think we should consider is possibly canceling it outright.
Yeah,
I mean, I almost hate to suggest that because I love it so much, but this is actually what we suggested for the Contributor Summit for Amsterdam for KubeCon. The Kubernetes Contributor Summit's not going to happen in Europe. I don't think we've announced that yet. But the whole event went virtual, and then to do like an extra day of virtual stuff when the vast majority of the benefit people get out of the Contrib Summit is hallway track. It just didn't seem worth it to us, especially given that it was only a couple of months before Boston KubeCon. So I don't know, maybe we don't do one. Maybe we target FOSDEM next year and do another European one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with Ray though. Maybe we should get the committee together and have a conversation after you've had your next talk with the Linux Foundation,
Okay.
Matt.
I'll send out I'll send something out to the events mail list and see if we can't coordinate for next week.
Okay.
And it probably would make a lot of sense if next week we kind of make a decision one way or the other. We've been throwing out a lot of ideas and okay.
Yeah. Georg or Don, I mean, do we know if we received any submissions or?
Let me check. Keep going on other stuff because it's going to take me a minute to find it.
Right on. Okay, so these are smaller things at this point. The metrics page has been updated. Yay. So it's a very simple page at this point. So on GitHub. So basically the long and short of it is that the metrics page was creating a lot of confusion for people coming to the CHAOSS project via GitHub, just because it had a long list of metrics and we have released metrics on the website. And it was really creating just kind of, you know, back and forth. So anyway, this is largely cleaned up with just pointers to the proper location. So click on the link, it's a lot easier. There's a tiny bit of cleanup to do, but nothing that is that big of a deal. So I'm super happy about that. Don just posted a video about her CHAOSS work at VMware. I put a link in there. It's like 8 minutes or 7 minutes. It's not long, and it's actually, it was a couple really good metrics. I really like that drift metric, particularly the first one that you showed about the 2 lines, and if you're seeing drift on those, that could be an indicator. So it is a nice video.
Yeah, I might overdub it with Tokyo Drift, the Fast and Furious film, just for fun. But
yes, you can do that.
That would be considered a derivative
essential
work, right?
contribution,
So,
Sean.
yeah,
Essential.
Matt, I'm very glad you're here. Do you have updates on the podcast?
Sure. So for those who haven't heard this already, the CHAOSS Cast is a chaos themed podcast. It has a couple lead hosts and a wide panel. We welcome all of you here to be on the panel if you're interested. But the quick update, we've recorded 4 episodes working through the getting it posted. The first one went live last week. Next one's going to go live this week. And then Georg and I are meeting Friday along with another panelist, Benia, who has been fantastic. And the 3 of us are going to try to see what it looks like to shift to a once-a-week recording schedule and have different sort of themes that different people lead. I'll say we're always looking, we are 2, white male people that have kind of spearheaded. We don't want that. We want to be as representative and diverse as our community. So more people are really encouraged. We would love it if you are interested. And if you've never podcasted or you want to podcast more, we'd love for you to poke your head out and let us know that you're interested.
And they make it super easy and it's fun.
Thanks, Dawn. She's been awesome on it. Sean, you're a natural too.
Yeah, I have to replace my the new battery backup I bought.
Please do. That buzzing noise was horrific.
Yeah, it turns out I wanted a slightly better one, so I bought a data center class one, and the fan can never turn off. It's just always going to keep the battery cool, so I have to.
Yeah, data centers are not optimized for podcasts.
No, I didn't even think about that. So yeah, I'll solve that problem before the next one.
All good. So if you're looking to check it out now, it's podcast.chaoss.community. And I will link to our document that gives the overall strategy. But you can email us at podcast@chaoss.community if you're at all interested, or my handles in my name. Just say hi on any platform.
Cool.
And circling back, we have had 8 responses to the CFP. At least half of those people are sitting on this call.
Okay.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Don. I'm going to skip the community handbook. I have one question. We're running out of time. On the web page, if you click on that, one of the things that we have is just at chaoss.community. I think the web page is great, but if you scroll down just a little bit, we have those recent CHAOSS posts. Those are getting a little stale.
True. It would be nice if the newsletters could be more integrated with the website.
Yeah.
It would also be nice if we had more blog activity from the group.
Yeah.
You may want to think through this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Not to ask people to do more. I mean, I think there's a lot going on. I mean, maybe like right off this web page, instead of the recent CHAOSS posts, it's things like recent CHAOSS podcasts, recent newsletters. I mean, these are the kind of the obvious things to me that are in process and producing really good content.
Yeah, this will be easier when we have a community manager who can kind of keep us organized. But keep in mind, like the blog posts, we could start doing some super short blog posts. I could do something really quick around that to promote that video and just like embed the video. And we could do a blog post for each one of the podcasts and embed the podcast and make those really sort of light. Like I could probably do a blog post about that video in, I don't know, 15 minutes. So maybe I'll put that on my to-do list for.
Okay. And maybe I'll chat with Kevin, like the best way to get that done workflow wise. Do we care about?
So the workflow is an issue with the weekly newsletters.
Okay.
the format that those are created in kind of creates some ongoing problems to get them put onto the website.
Okay.
So if we changed our workflow on how they're created, it would make it easier on the website end.
Okay. Why don't you and I chat outside of this about that? Cool. Thank you. And thank you, Don, for offering to do that. And CHAOSS.Con is updated. We have in the seconds left on this meeting. There was a question about how things are going with the move to GitLab. I think I'm gonna kick that to next week just so we can kind of talk through that a little bit more. Unless anybody wants to talk about it for 10 seconds.
We haven't voted on that as a board, have we? Did I miss that?
Did we have to?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems
I
like
think
a
that was,
key
I think,
change.
That was
I think that was I mean, the comment I made was, I mean, if the technical community members are, I mean, making a decision on the tool, does the board even need to get involved?
I don't think there's any question. I think we went with kind of a decision to kind of a fuzzy soft consensus, like if there was no objection. And I think we reached that in one of our community meetings, possibly the one in April, which would have been right after the board meeting. So I think we did sort of reach a consensus on this call last monthly call. I think in terms of the move, we all agreed to wait until fall with maybe some groups piloting things, but our official location wouldn't change until fall.
Sorry, I changed jobs in April and I missed the whole thing. So I have no idea. I'll be honest, I have no idea what we did. The last conversation I was in, it sounded like we weren't super keen on moving. And so it sounds like things changed drastically and I missed it.
So the thing that changed drastically briefly, Dawn, is that we're able to make contributions to GitLab. It's fully open.
Yeah.
And over the years, Matt and I and others have repeatedly approached GitHub for that same kind of partnership. And whereas like 10 years ago, GitHub's source code was open sourced, it isn't anymore. And GitLab's remains open sourced. So we have an opportunity as a metrics community to make upstream contributions with GitLab that just frankly don't exist with GitHub. And there were other reasons driving it, but I think that was the thing that put us over the top in terms of this really makes sense.
Okay.
Anybody tell me if I'm not summarizing that fairly.
What I haven't seen, and it could be, maybe I just need to dig back in my email, but I haven't seen like a thorough assessment of how much time this is going to take, like a kind of a pros and cons.
That's why I pushed it to fall, because I don't have any way to accomplish it but over the summer.
I'll propose this. Let me go back and try to reassemble the conversation to date, Don. Okay. Just so we can kind of get a sense of where the
I'm sorry. This is probably my bad. I just feel like this is a massive change that's going to take a lot of time from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And my concern is what is the benefit for this truly going to outweigh all of the work that it's going to take for switching costs?
I respect that concern, and that's
been my main concern as well, and I support the community's decision, but my switching costs are relatively small compared to some of the working groups. Although I don't know, moving software is probably going to be hard because we have so many things integrated, but we'll just have, switching costs are definitely a concern, but
I'm just concerned about the momentum that we'll lose when we spend all this time switching tools.
Sure.
And my experience long experience in working in IT and software related things is that generally you spend a lot of effort switching, and then there are new trade-offs that you didn't understand before you switched.
Yep.
And so I think we need to really take the time and do this thoughtfully. Like I'm not against doing this.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen the analysis that I would like to see to justify the time that it's going to take from so many people.
Let me, like I said, let me try to stitch this back together a little bit, and so that we can have, instead of just kind of this ephemeral discussion that has occurred over time, that we have a more systematic view.
Yeah, because I mean, I mean, I've been working in open source forever. I love the idea of being able to contribute back if we need to, but I think we just need to, we need to understand what trade-offs we're making in order to get that benefit.
Totally fair.
Yeah, and I don't think we've done a thorough assessment of the costs of switching. I think we know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we don't know.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. I think with that, we are.
Sorry.
Oh,
Let's end on somebody say something positive.
You're all gonna have a great day today.
Sorry.
Wonderful sunny day in the entire planet. So. All right. No, that's totally fine. These are totally fair conversations, and I don't mind them at all. I think they're super helpful. So, cool. Thanks everybody, and I guess we'll see you at some working groups. Maybe see some of you tomorrow, and we'll see you all around. Okay.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.